I've heard that you've been with VNG almost 5 years now, and it seems like your hair has turned quite gray. Okay, that's a great question, but what kind of question is that? Hi, my name is Kelly Wong, and I'm a Vice President at VNG, head of VNGGames, and today you can ask me anything. So the first question is, if you were not with VNG, where do you think you will be now? That's a great question because I actually quite enjoy working at VNGs. I get to play games for a living. And it's kind of every child's dream job, right? If you were young, you were playing games and your parents tell you, hey, playing games gets you nowhere, I'm probably one of the few people around the world that could prove their parents wrong. So it's hard to imagine doing anything else. But if I had to really pin it down, I would say I'd probably be still in finance. After spending this considerable amount of time with VNG, what do you like most about the company and what don't you like? If you could change one thing at VNG immediately, what would it be? I don't think I've spent that much time at VNG. I looked at it right before we started this session and it's probably been around 3.5 years. But I think one of the things I do really like about VNG from day one is really working with the people. It's very different from other companies I've been with in Vietnam and around the world. You really get a sense of everyone likes to be here. And I think in VNGGames specifically, the people that I work with every day are truly very passionate about their jobs. Not just about what they do, but really about games. One thing I probably would like to see improved, and I guess everyone has their own opinion about this, but probably the food choice. I know this is a very big topic amongst all starters, but you know, I probably would say that I would love some more healthy choices in food items, and that's been one of my big critiques since day one. Do I have to answer the hair thing or do you not? No, okay. I do want to answer it though, it's kind of fun. Okay. Do I like anime? And if yes, what's your favorite anime? That's a really good question. I think a lot of us gamers really enjoy anime and cartoons and things like that. I grew up probably more in line with mecha and robots. So my favorite anime series is actually, there's two. I would say Gundam is one of my favorites. I like all of them. I still watch them today. I've recently made the purchase of a lot of the old Gundam on Apple TV, and I've been rewatching it. And the second one, Macross, it's still one of my favorites today. I really enjoy the story. It's a long series, or they call it Robotech in the US when I watched it, but definitely one of my favorite anime of all time. How can you effectively manage such a vast team spread across diverse markets when navigating various areas? So one of the things we really rely on is having a good management team. So the people I work very closely with daily are probably some of the most effective team players that I've seen. And everyone's carrying a much broader scope than I would say is normal. And that's important, right? Because when you allocate work down or responsibilities down, you don't necessarily have to find the person that has the most amount of knowledge about a certain area. You want probably to put together a group of people that are very collaborative, constructive, and also critical, right? You don't want everyone just to agree on everything, but you want everyone to be able to debate something and then move on to make a decision and then move forward. So team construct and the people I work with are probably one of the most effective ways that we're able to manage such a large and growing business. How do you cope with the pressure or expectations of being a VP? I think that's a very difficult question to answer. I don't feel that much pressure. I'm not sure why. Maybe I'm not doing this job right, but I think you have to have a very balanced perspective of your job in context with your life. When you get into a job or a challenge that you're facing, you also really need to embrace it, right? And I know everyone kind of laughs when I say embracing challenge, but it's real. When you have an issue, I think we all have the tendency to sort of avoid it, procrastinate, sort of leave it aside. But if you tackle it head on and really embrace it, it makes it much easier and less stressful because you're actually moving towards fixing the problem or identifying it at least. And then, you just basically take over that stress and it becomes motivation. You really want to solve the problem. You get excited about it. What is your biggest non-academic, non-work related accomplishment? I think one of the things I'm most happy about is probably the amount of time, even living abroad, that I've been able to spend with my parents. I think that's a really important connection for me personally, being Chinese and also being Asian. Moving away is a very difficult thing. I've been in Vietnam now over 20 years, close to 20 years, and being far from home, right? And then actually shifting that identity of home being in Canada to Vietnam. And so having spent and really making an effort to spend time with my parents in Canada is something that I'm very happy with. The next one, what skills would you like to master professionally and personally? Good question. And I would say that professionally, I'm probably at that point now where I've mastered, or at least I'm competent in most of the skills that I need to do my job. I enjoy learning new stuff, even though I know I'm bad at it. Things like a language, I always think about learning that, or learning about new technologies and how to apply them. New things, hardware, software, devices, that's also another very big passion of mine. But one thing I would encourage all of you is don't stop being curious and just take a look at something new and just give it a shot, right? Personally, that's an interesting one. So I've always had a strong interest in art. I love photography, even though I'm very bad at it. I enjoy taking pictures when I travel and doing things like that. It's definitely changed a lot over the last 5-10 years because I used to have to carry a camera and now I carry a phone. But I find the experience still very different. I still enjoy playing with the camera, the buttons and the switches, the different settings, and that's something I still enjoy a lot. I used to draw a lot and paint, but that's not something I do anymore. But I would like to get back into it if I retired. What is something you think everyone should do at least once in their lives? That's a tough one because I generally encourage people to seek an experience, right? And that could be a number of different things. I think one of the things that I've always wanted to do that I have not been able to do is skydiving. It's just one of these things that when I was a kid, I always thought was really exciting, really interesting. I'm afraid of heights, so flying up in a plane and jumping out of one is probably not the best thing, but it's always something I've always wanted to do. So the last question is actually in Vietnamese, so it's going to test my language skills a little bit, so I'm going to read this out. Em muốn tặng cho anh một thứ thật nhỏ nhỏ. Anh hãy nói Happy New Year and embracing challenges 2024 bằng các ngôn ngữ của tất cả thị trường mà VNG đã có mặt. Hy vọng đây sẽ là món quà nhỏ để chúc mừng năm mới và kích lệ tinh thần của mỗi người trong năm 2024. Em cảm ơn anh. I will say Happy New Year and embracing, I will say Happy New Year in the languages of all the markets where VNG is present. The first one is obviously English, so Happy New Year to everyone. The second one is in Cantonese, because it's my mother tongue and I do enjoy saying it. 恭喜發財，新年快樂. In Chinese, 新年快樂. In Vietnamese, chúc mừng năm mới. And here are the harder ones, so please forgive me, because these are languages that I'm not proficient with, but I'm going to say it anyways. So in Thai, Suk San Pi Mai, 2004. Bahasa, Selamat Tahun Baru. In Malay, Selamat Tahun Baharu. And Filipino, Maligayang Bagong Taon. I think that was it. So if I said it wrong, Happy New Year anyways.